Releasing on August 15th is Agents of Mayhem from the creators of Saints Row. Pre-order at the affiliate link below. Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Matt Jarbo, and this is the Mundane Matt channel. And you know, part of the process I go through when it comes to determining what to talk about every day requires me to go through multiple news outlets in hopes of finding the right stories to bring to you, the viewer at home, about what's going on in the world. And I like talking about video games. I love video games. And so I oftentimes thumb through the feeds to see what kind of stuff is being shared and determine whether or not it's interesting enough to warrant its own video. Some things are, some things aren't. This is the way it goes. Now, what you're looking at right here is the Google News video games tag. You know, you get this person here saying video games may affect the brain differently depending on how you play. Interesting topic from NPR. You got one down here: police teen shot brother to death as top played video games. A horrific story, but not what piqued my interest. But this very bottom one here, this one right here: video games are a cause of gun violence. Okay, so I'm like, oh, it's from Amsterdam News. Well, let's take a look here at the article, because this is where things get interesting. So the Amsterdam News is running this article from Grace Marochello, saying video games are a cause of gun violence. And as we all know, if you happen to be an avid gamer or just interested in the politics surrounding the largest entertainment medium in the world, you know that, well, video games don't cause violence. They're not a cause of gun violence. This is a lie, a myth that's been perpetuated time and time and time again. So why exactly is the New York Amsterdam News running this particular story, right? So let's take a look here. It says, do video games cause gun violence? Well, kind of contradicts your title here, right? Video games are a cause of gun violence. First sentence, question really, do video games cause gun violence? Consistently, studies have shown that they do. Okay, well, there you go. You're following up your title with a direct assertion of facts, so to speak. From January 1st, 2017 to June 28th, 2017, there have been 216 mass shootings, the injury or murder of 4 or more persons. These statistics are just in the United States. Perhaps part of this problem is the lack of gun regulations in the United States. But what if this problem could be solved by banning one thing: video games? I'm not like, look, I could go through this point for point for point. Video games do not cause violence. There have been many studies. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, look. Yes, there have been mass shootings in the United States. The terminology defining a mass shooting, an injury of murder of more than 4 or more people, is yes, that's the definition of it. And there's a lot happens every single year, not just in the first 6 months of this year. There are lots of shootings. It happens, but they're not all video game related. In fact, I would argue none are video game related. It says here, many mental health associations and psychologists have agreed that video games coincide with an endless list of negative factors. In a recent study, 97% of children aged 12 to 17 reported playing video games. Yeah, no shit. Largest entertainment medium out there. But if 97% of children aged 12 to 17 play video games, what kind of games are they playing? They're not all playing Call of Duty. They're not all playing Grand Theft Auto. They're not all playing Battlefield. How many of them are playing Pokemon? How many of them are playing Barbie's Magic Dream Castle? You know, what are the statistics here? What is the study? Link to the study. Where is your source? Grace? We'll get to that, though, here in a second. All too often, these games are associated with brutally murdering individuals for the purpose of gaining a reward for violence. Schools have reported that 60% of middle school boys who participated in mature-rated games have engaged in an act of physical violence. Middle school boys and acts of aggression or violence is not something that is caused by video games. Let's be fair here. Going through middle school is kind of when your hormones are first coming in. You have a lot of that, you know, puberty is kicking in the most in middle school, for boys at least, because they develop a little bit later than girls. And, you know, you're going to have that kind of mentality. And it's not like boys don't fight or boys don't get rough with one another. It's a facet of adolescence in young men. again, I'd love to see some correlating evidence, Grace. I'd love it. The Journal of American Medical Association discovered that participants had a significantly higher increase in aggressive behavior compared to those who did not engage in these games. Participating in this sport is linked to decreasing empathy and kindness, both fundamental and necessary requirements for being a decent human being. Oh, Jesus Christ. Could you lay on the propaganda any thicker, Grace? Could you lay it on any thicker? Oh, playing video games makes you apathetic and kind of a cunt. I play lots of video games, and I am one of the most empathetic assholes on YouTube. All right? So, you know what? No, F off. Oh, God. It's a whole decent human being thing. The FBI stated that students who make violent threats towards themselves or others should be taken more seriously if they play. Citation fucking needed, please. Popular video games such as Doom 2. Here we go. We're on Doom 2. Of course, we're going to be on Doom 2. Were used for the primary purpose of training soldiers to kill without feeling. The difference between letting soldiers play and letting children is the fact that soldiers are simultaneously equipping themselves with disciplinary skills and the ability of restraining further damage, whereas children lack the ability to do either. Okay, I just really wanted to stop for a second and jump over to this whole Doom thing because I really wanted to make sure, like, if there was anything to talk about with this is definitely one of the more interesting factors. So Marine Doom is what she's referring to. Of course, not talking about it being a modification of the game Doom 2 that was made for the United States Marine Corps. She was like, Doom 2 was used as a way to teach people how to kill. A modification of Doom 2 was made available for download to the public. Also, America's Army was also used, and way more predominantly used in the early 2000s than I would argue Marine Doom was. It says here, in the game, a fire team of comprising 4 Marines is supposed to accomplish a specific mission, the default being the destruction of an enemy bunker, although other scenarios such as hostage rescue in a foreign embassy can be designed in order to allow coordination of their movements. These soldiers play on separated computers in the same room. The fire team consists of a team leader, 2 riflemen, and 1 machine gunner. Now, the idea here is not to teach you how to kill, it's to teach you how to coordinate. The entire point of a 4-person fire team, Grace, is that you are there to cooperate together. You are working as a cohesive team unit. And as a result of this, these kind of cooperation-based games are used in order to teach people how to communicate together for team-building exercises just presented in a video game. That is literally it. You're trying to argue this moral panic that is teaching kids to kill. It's not. It was used for the primary purpose of training soldiers to kill without feeling. No, it wasn't. It literally wasn't. Why is this article in existence? What the shit is going on? Oh my God. The difference... Okay. Dave Grossman, former lieutenant colonel of the U.S. Army and professor at West Point Military Academy, stated, through interactive point-and-shoot video games, modern nations are indiscriminately introducing their children to the same weapons technology that major armies and law enforcement agencies use around the world to turn off the midbrain safety catch. This sport also increases bullying and assaults directed towards women. Again, no, it doesn't. Cite your fucking sources. Where are your sources? Where is this information coming from? Time and time again, this has been disproven. I'd love to know, like, what's going on with this, Grace. Where are you getting your information, and why is this published in a popular outlet? I don't understand that. But let's get to the crux of this argument here, because the crux of this, of course, falls back in line with Doom to this tale. 2 teenagers in 1999 fatally shot 13 students at Columbine High School in Columbine, Colorado. James Holmes injured 70 and killed 12 at a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado. Jared Lee Loughner shot and killed 6 people, including Christina Taylor Greene, age 9, and injured Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords at a political event in Tucson, Arizona in 2011. Anders Breivik killed 77 people in Norway. Now, what do all these people have in common besides the fact they all engaged in gun violence? All of them grew up playing video games. Columbine, yes. The other ones I'm unfamiliar with. Okay, so Breivik even admitted to playing Modern Warfare 2 for training. Hand-eye coordination comes out quite a bit in those kind of first-person shooters. I would say that that's definitely like a factor. My hand-eye coordination is pretty damn good because I play these kind of games. Engaging in the sport desensitizes people to the point of thinking physical violence is acceptable behavior. Prescribing video games might be what this country needs. And Grace Michello is a senior at Averill Park High School in Averill Park, New York. Yeah. She's a senior in high school. And somehow this article made it to the Amsterdam News. Now, Amsterdam News, by the way, it started more than a century ago with a $10 investment. It's gone on to become one of the most influential black newspapers in the country, and today remains one of the most influential black-owned and operated media businesses in the nation, if not the world. So this is the New York Amsterdam News is an organization that publishes its online content as well as a newspaper out of Manhattan, New York. And on their website, they ran this article posted by Grace Marcello, who is a senior in high school. And even then, that particular article was lifted almost whole cloth from a letter to the editor posted simply 5 days ago on the ToryRecord.com site, which is basically in the area where Grace goes to school, and it's the exact same article, just lifted and posted. She probably submitted it there in order to do this. Grace here, this one right here on the left or on the right, sorry, is again. She's a Tom Brady worshiper from Averill Park, New York, senior in high school, and clearly knows nothing about video games. This is one of the most poorly researched articles I've come across. Even looking at the at this particular article here from the APA, it says here, news commentators often turn to violent video games as a potential casual contributor to acts of mass homicide. Right? That first sentence right there summarizes the entirety of Grace's argument, is that they do this. Saying here, the media point to perpetrators' gaming habits as either a reason that they have chosen to commit their crimes or as a method of training. Backs it up entirely. This practice extends at least as far back as the Columbine massacre. Notice how that was mentioned in there as well. And has more recently been figured prominently in the investigation into the reporting of the Aurora, Colorado shooting, James Holmes, the Sandy Hook massacre, the Washington Navy Yard massacre. This coverage has contributed to significant public discussions about the impacts of violent video game use. As a conscience of this popular perception, several efforts have been made to limit children's consumption of violent video games, to better educate parents about the effects of the content of which their children are being exposed, or both. Several jurisdictions have attempted to enact laws limiting the sale of violent video games to minors, and in 2011, the U.S. Supreme Court considered the issue of Brown v. Entertainment Merchants Association, concluding that the First Amendment fully protects violent speech even for minors, which is true, it does. That entire paragraph right there from the American Psychological Association summarizes the crux of Grace's article. It's like she took everything and just applied it from that. Like that was just the entire, oh God. Now, this particular article goes on to say that all violence, including lethal violence, is aggression, but not all aggression is violence. This distinction is important for understanding this research literature, which has not focused on lethal violence as an outcome. Insufficient research has examined whether violent video games use cause lethal violence. The distinction is also important for considering the implications of the research and for the interpreting popular press accounts of the research and its applicability to societal events. So basically saying there that, yes, while there's some elements that might say that they cause some aggression, or so on and so forth. There's multiple studies that come out saying they don't cause violence and they don't cause sexism. This entire article written by Grace is a complete regurgitation of popular propaganda while trying to attack video games and video gamers as being the reason why we've had so many mass shootings in the United States. She goes on, just this is a quick side note to that one. She cites, 216 mass shootings in the United States this year, but doesn't link a single one of them this year to video games. Albeit she's attempting to formulate the argument that it is the direct cause of that. No, correlation does not equal causation here, Grace. You are a senior in high school trying to dabble in something of which you are reading far too much propaganda on. We've known this for years, that video game violence video games causing violence doesn't exist in the ways that people out there are trying to claim that they do. Every time there's a shooting, they always try to blame the games. It goes back to the moral panic of rock music from the 70s. It goes back to the moral panic of violent video games from the early 1990s, or even rap lyrics from also back in that same time. Every time there's a moral panic over an issue, it always tends to go back to some form of entertainment medium. This is something you don't understand. Video games do not cause violence. People are inherently violent and inherently aggressive. I'm not just saying you can... I guess I can see what you're trying to say here, but you went about it in the absolute worst way possible. Banning video games will not stop violence from happening, same way that banning guns won't stop shootings from happening. To quote Jurassic Park, life will find a way. And that is always the case. This kind of outright censorship that you're calling for is something I would expect from maybe a 50-something-year-old, evangelical who's trying to get some kind of prominence in their community. Instead, we're getting this from a 17 or 18-year-old high school student from fucking New York who clearly doesn't understand what she talks about. And I would hope for the future, Grace, if you're going to actually delve into these issues, you'd take the time and do the appropriate research and not just regurgitate the same talking points that everyone else tries to talk about when they're doing it wrong. And also, Amsterdam News, what are you doing trying to claim that you are a legitimate news source when you lift word for word this fucking unresearched, uncited, unsourced garbage from some local know-nothing newspaper? Well, that wraps up the video, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today and giving it a watch. If you guys would like to support the channel, please give it a thumbs up, comment below, share it around, subscribe, hit the little bell for notifications so you're up to date on all the content this channel releases. If you'd like to help out during the adpocalypse, you can do so with Amazon affiliate links in the beginning of the video. There is Patreon. $1 from everyone would go a really long way right now, as well as also Bitcoin and PayPal. Thank you guys very much. My name is Matt Jarbo. This is the Mundane Matt channel. I'll talk to you guys later. Have yourself a great day. Peace out.